We got ourselves some caster mode, and guys, welcome to a casted Rising Empires game. This is the winners quarterfinals of Warchief Club number 28, spawning on the western side of EGC Lipany. It is Anotand playing the Roost, getting his hunting cabin underway, and ISanych playing as the Malians in the northeast. Now, Neri, as far as Anatand's Roost build goes, not going for that chop in the middle, as you can see I'm highlighting here, which, as far as builds go, have you seen more of the middle of woodline hunting cabins compared to these?
I think it's just a matter of personal preference nowadays. I think it's very, very worth it, but it's like so much work. And you're roost, so you have to micromanage your scouts so much
Mhm.
that really truly is a thing of, do I want to bother? Do I not want to bother? Because yes,
Okay.
a hunting cabin, this one is 20, the one in the middle will be like 50 something. But do you really need that much gold right now? Or within the next 5 minutes? I don't think so.
No, most likely not so much, and I guess it kind of depends on if you're trying to go for something like a fast castle. And I know for these hunting cabins, usually when they do that build, they'll have two hunting cabins going in that direction. But Anatan obviously choosing not to, but will get a third scout going underway and did a good job getting this deer patch all the way to the north side, as Roost players love to get some of that. And now that we take a look at the map of Lipany, we are watching Roost. So we got to talk about our pork products. Some of these boar that are around the map. We have one a little bit near ISanich's base over here on the north, and a little bit closer to Anatand's base to the north of his. So this boar might be some good, delectable pork sandwiches we might see in feudal age from Anatan.
Indeed, this is going to be interesting. I'm assuming Anotand is going to take the one on the far left because Malians can be so aggressive on early feudal with their warrior scouts, and you don't really have a way of dealing with them unless you have a nice army already. Now, something I want to comment: Anotand got really lucky with his tier spawn like right next to each other, and he managed to get one of ice hatches. So he's going to be sitting on a lot of bounty, definitely achieving that 250 with the next wolf going down. And whenever you achieve 250, you're feeling good as a Roost player, right?
Oh my god, yeah, that 250 is really what you strive for. I mean, I would say the first step is not necessarily the 100. The 100 is kind of, everybody gets that level 1 at 100. But I would think a level 1 is more so around the 200 to 190 kind of category, just because of what you can see on your screen, being able to get wheelbarrow in the Dark Age. Because if you're going to go out and get that boar, if you're going to go out and maybe put a second town center over there, but in terms of actually getting there, your villagers are going to get there just that much quicker than 250 being at level 2. So Anatan going with the Kremlin. On the other side, ISanych going for the Mansa Quarry. What do you think about this pick?
I think it's very standard nowadays. You don't need to defend your gold because you're not rushing castle Osmalian. And so everyone is like, if I'm not rushing castle, let me get a little bit of extra gold then. And that's exactly what they do. And now he drops the stable, and this is going to be Warrior Scout. Oh boy,
Now,
I do love me some Warrior Scouts as much as
Neri,
you love China.
I know your personal affinity with Warrior Scouts, so I'm gonna give you net, because this is the first game of Malians that we're watching today. I'm gonna give you the spotlight here. Just give me a little bit of, baseline knowledge about Warrior Scouts to the folks back home who maybe haven't experienced playing Malian that much.
There we yes. There you go. Boom.
You know what? You heard it here, guys. You heard it here first. Neri says they're BS. They're BS.
It's just they're cheap. They're 90 food. They train in 15 seconds. They regen at 2 health per second. They cannot get stunned by spears. You can't chase them with horsemen because they have the same movement speed, so you only get like one hit every like 15 seconds because of the charge, and they regen before you can get the next charge in. You can't kill them with archers because archers are too slow. And, just, and they deal so much damage. Like they deal 7 damage. You think 7 is not a lot, but they can kill us. The 2 scouts can kill a spearman. Think
And
about that. 2 scouts can kill a spearman.
I think it's just because of their regenerative properties. As you can see, the scout is getting hit by the warrior scout, but because of how quickly they regenerate, probably give it about 10 seconds, maybe even less, just because of their regeneration. And it's like it never even happened, just like that. As soon as this sentence was over, it's like that scout wasn't hit at all. Now, Anotand going for more of a defensive route here, adding some fortified palisades a little bit to the south and a little bit to the north as well, because he's trying to not get raided to death by these warrior scouts. But this one by ISanych in the north does find that villager, and that villager is as good as dead.
Yep, that villager is good as dead. We see the first knight coming out, and that knight is going to die to the 3 scouts.
It looks like the Roost Scout over here on the east trying to do the same kind of thing, but not quite getting there. That is 1 dead villager. That is 1 dead scout. So economic lead now in favor of ISanych, 24, and Anotand just hit his at 24. But you got to remember, for the Malians, having that little bit of passive income that they get out of this pit mine, there's an 87 gold per minute, and there's a 52. So they're getting an extra 130 some gold per minute at no cost to any population, which is huge.
Like, look at this. That knight cannot fight the scouts. That knight will die if you try to fight them. It's insane.
It is kind of insane. And we've seen, for the Malians, this build being particularly what the Malians have been pigeonholed into. And I know a lot of players who were around in the previous season might have seen the Malians having not only warrior scouts, but in the previous season having the Furimba garrison and pushing that way, that being their default build. Now they've switched to a different default, and it makes you wonder which one you'd rather face.
Yeah, and now Professional Scout is almost done, and he is about to steal all of Anotand's gear except the one on the lower side because it's being walled. But this one on the top, it's all gone. He's just waiting for it.
And those warrior scouts are also going to have a little bit of extra firepower with them in the form of sofas. They're going to be adding some sofas as well. Now, spearmen are going to get in for Anotand, and they will be doing well in terms of getting hits off, but it's just about if those warrior scouts actually go down. And look at how ISanych micros these warrior scouts. One ends up going down, one at about 32 health. At the time of my sentence, it's going to be at about 40 health, and as long as they can get away, which they're able to against those warrior scouts and those hardened spearmen, as soon as they regenerate, they can just go ahead and try and steal more deer. They're just really, really annoying when they're on the battlefield.
Yep. Right now, Anotand is in a losing battle. He's on 1 TC and he's not planning on moving into a second one. And because of that, ISanych is just going to explode really, really quickly with scouts and sofas. We see some militias, but those militias are already dead. They got 1 hit in.
Yeah.
And because of the passive gold generation from the Malian, Anotand is slowly falling behind because the one pit mine is producing 90 gold per minute, the other one is at 70, soon to be 92 after all the houses and mining camp are built. And Anotand, the only passive generation he has is 25 gold per minute with 1 hunting cabin. So yeah, he's slowly falling behind. Like, look at even on the upgrade size, they're both equal. But again, the Malian has that extra gold generation. Oh, that's a lot of spears. Good catch on that sofa.
Yeah, it looks like about 9 spearmen in the middle of this fight, with predominantly Sofa and Warrior Scout. Looks like we do have a couple hardened Donzos in that fight as well. Now remember, these Donzos can throw their javelins if they get pissed off enough. And ISaN's also adding in the paper, combining with those rock and scissors, adding archers in as well to try to take out some of these spearmen. Now, I do agree with you in terms of Anatand's build, I was curious why he didn't go for a second town center out of the gate. A lot of the reason why you go Kremlin as the Rus in Feudal Age is because you're saving that 175 wood on a wooden fortress, and his stone was protected. This was an optimal Kremlin site, and I feel like I got bamboozled because he didn't go for a second town center.
Now we see just 2 villagers and so on. That's obviously not enough for a town center anytime soon. So I'm really wondering why are those there? And yeah, and he's just running onto the wood. Like, I am not quite sure what Anotand is going for right now. I'm kind of confused. And on the other side, we see ISanych. Like, look at his army. He's at 26 army supply. And that's a lot of warrior scouts and quite a bit of archers now. 5. It's more than enough to deal with the current number of spears.
Yeah, I mean, right now, just like you said, military count 28 to 19. A lot of those Malian soldiers trying to take down that fortified palisade. But take a look at Anatand's resources right now. He's got about 900 food. He's got about 600 gold. So he is trying to get up to Castle Age. A lot of the time, however, and I guess from experience of myself playing against the Malians, once you get to Castle, I'm not really sure what you're going to use that's going to help you as far as resources that you didn't have in Feudal. A lot of these things can be taken down by Feudal Age units. Things like Spearmen are going to help you against Sofas and Warrior Scouts. Horsemen and Knights are going to help you with the Archers. Maybe for the Castle Age, you might be able to get some better quality of units that can help you on some of these battles. But it's been a long time since I've seen a quicker Castle Age against a Malian player.
Yeah, I think if he goes to Castle, he's just going to die. Personally.
and maybe so. What I do know is the Kremlin is going to help him out, going to give him some of the defensive structure, and those Kremlin gremlins get upgraded immediately as soon as Castle Age does get hit.
Yeah, that is true. The Kremlins could be the saving grace. He has 7 tickets, so he can produce 14 militia out of the gate as soon as he hits Castle. But that's only momentary, and we see right now ISanych just got a blacksmith and he's upgrading melee weapons, so he is looking to fight.
Oh yeah, he wants it. Anotand is going to take this board for an extra 75 gold, but ISanich's not really pushing the issue. He's kind of looking for a raidable area, and Anotand on the other side with that high trade house appropriately gets that board near the wooden fortress, and he'll be able to wall around it. Now for you guys in chat, got a decent amount of you guys in chat, take your guesses on the high trade house. How much gold per minute do you think is going to come from this? If you guess correctly, you win nothing, but I appreciate your participation. Now Feudal Age, maybe a little bit of a skirmish coming in here just because that palisade is open. ISanych finally has an area to kind of get into this Rus base, so let's see if he's actually going to want to take this fight. A lot of Spearmen, a lot of Knights coming out. Not any Archers for these hardened Donzos that you see here in the middle. Archers, these backline from the Malians, completely unopposed, being able to take some good shots at those Spearmen. A lot of Spearmen end up going down. The Knights being the only real heavy-hitting unit for the Rus right now. It's going to make that Rus army have to back up. Military lead still in favor of ISanych, 33 to 26. However, we have a lot of militia here at a time when Anotand probably didn't want to call them yet.
Yeah, this absolutely you do not want to call them yet. You really wanted to for ISanych to commit a bit harder, maybe to the front of your base. And now we see ISanych, even through all of that, hitting Castle first with the Farinbek garrison. And now this is a terrible situation for Anotand. He manages to hit Castle himself. Oh,
let's see. I see 180, 111, 190. King Smurf corrected it to 143. What are we at? 83. Miss Ibs guessing 90 with the first place. Good job, buddy.
Yeah, that's a yikes.
yeah, that's a yikers. If you're gonna make a high trade house, having it at that low is probably gonna cost you some. Now, we're talking about Warrior Scouts, and you were talking about the Warrior Scouts in Feudal being an issue, but it is such a big issue once we get into Castle, because the reason why ISanych is able to get up to Castle as quickly as he does is because of the cheapness of those Warrior Scouts. Because they only cost 90 food and they make up the majority of his army, he has the extra resources to go up to Castle behind it. And Anotand really wanted to get up to castle before and do it quickly, but it just seems like his timing was off and not at the level that he expected it to.
Yeah. Now, one big mistake I've seen from ISanych right now, he has 24 on food right now and only 15 on gold. He really needs a lot more gold than this in order to produce constantly from the Faringa garrison, because his power spike are no longer the warrior scouts. His power spike are the archers with the poison arrows. That's what really packs the punch in castle for Malians. That's their carry. You want the warrior scouts and the sofas just to be your front line, but they don't deal that much damage. Like a veteran sofa deals 20. That's not a lot. That's a lot, but not quite enough. And the warrior scout, once it gets upgraded, is going to be dealing 8 or 9 damage. I don't quite remember. Comparing that to the archer that currently does 7, but with the poison that goes quite a lot higher.
Yeah, you gotta remember, I mean, for the Malians, they definitely do have a sort of power spike going into castle. The veteran sofas with their imported armor, now Malians having a lot of gold historically, going to be able to import that armor, give them +2 in the melee and the ranged department. And those veteran archers, you talked about the poison arrows, it is about halfway done, about 42 seconds as of right now, because it's quite the expensive technology, but that power spike might help them carry into Castle Age. For the Rus, I mean, we know that Rus and the Malians isn't the best in terms of a matchup, but when the poison arrow comes in, when the imported armor comes in, it's difficult for me to wrap my head around finding an idea that Rus can use against this army composition. And it looks like Anotand going to be adding a ranged force of his own with archers, adding a couple crossbowmen, as you can see on the top of your screen, and trying to get some siege superiority. And he has a first mangonel on the battlefield.
Anotand is absolutely insane. He's adding a second TC when his opponent's entire army is within vision. Like, he can see all the army that ISanych has right in front of his base, and he's like, okay, I have a couple of knights, a few spearmen, and a mangonel. I'm gonna make another TC. This is the perfect time.
Now, this mangonel, I feel like, can really help him carry in a fight if he just chooses to take it, because it's probably the only thing that's really going to take out this backline from ISanych. Just because you're at that much of a military discrepancy, military count right now, 72 to 41, it's going to be rather difficult for him to do. On the other side, though, that I'm noticing is these guys kind of having a ceasefire, drawing up their defenses. Not seeing any relics getting picked up for either of these players. All 5 of them and all 3 sacred sites still left to be claimed by either player.
Yeah, definitely a mistake by both of them. Like, as Malian, you absolutely want those relics on the sacred side because, you know, you have the Farimba. You can really make use of that gold really fast. And as Rus, if you get relics on sacred side, you don't need to mine any gold.
That is super important. But now we're going to see our first big fight come out right outside of the Rus territory on the western side. You can see the poison of these arrows. Sofa trying to get a flank around on the south. Spearman going to be able to catch them, get them to move in the other direction. As long as those mangonels can get good hits on those archers, and it looks like only one archer went down in the making of those rock throwings, and the mangonels get reduced to kindling. This was a huge win from ISanych. Anotand's army gets essentially cleared up. This feels like a GG moment, Neri.
Yeah, this is certainly a GG moment. Anotand doesn't have enough stone for a panic keep. He doesn't have enough static defense around to be able to hold. He does manage to get a lot of militia out, but it's not going to be quite enough. He only has 3 more tickets left. And after that, and ISanych just can wait until those militia fall over because they're gonna die eventually because they expire. And we start seeing the first ram hitting the wooden fortress, 2 more on the way. And those militia hitting that ram, but it's not going down fast enough. But ISanych is just letting it die. Come on, just need to get those archers in there. There we go.
Come on, a step ram, I'm stuck. Come on, get him out of there. Ends up getting out with 30 1 health and going down just a little bit from some of those archers. It just seemed like for Anotand didn't have a way to deal with the archers and the poison that they have. The mangonels from Anotand going down pretty easily because of the sofas. Now military count 57 to 10. The Farimba garrison pumping out archers going to be very good. He does have the gold income for it. It looks like for ISanych, though, for the front line, only seeing 1 or 2 sofas out there. I don't think it would be a good idea for ISanych to really plug into that roost base. I think we'd see a lot of dead archers for that. It looks like he's just going to try to use his rams and start to back up just a little bit, maybe get a remask, get in there, really get a killing blow.
Yep. Now we see the militia coming out, and after this, ISanych knows he needs to wait for those militia to expire, and then he can go back in completely safe. And Anotand is not going to have anything to defend with because he already crashed the army not once but twice.
Yep, I will say, if you're a sub in this channel, get your ram emotes out because we got 1 battering ram and probably multiple on the way. Now these Kremlin gremlins, I'm seeing them, they got about 47 seconds left on their life, and a lot of times with this Kremlin, especially in Castle Age, a lot of the time it just ends up being the oh shit button. You know, I mean, the military count is just not there for Anotand. He feels like if he didn't call those militia, he would have lost the game, and I think for ISanych, he was able to bait those gremlins out very well, while on the north side, those militia starting to not be in the place where they can actually defend like the Kremlin really intends. A big raid for ISanych on the north side now. Economic count 68 to 69, Neri. Nice.
Nice, dude. 68 now. But yeah, we see a forward siege workshop by ISanych. I'm assuming he's going to start producing sprinkles to get rid of those really annoying mangonels, because that's the only thing that's holding Anotand together right now.
Yeah, no, it definitely is. The fact that those mangonels are existing on the battlefield is probably the only reason why ISanych isn't, but he is doing the staggered formation very correctly as he should, while still raining down that special service of poisonous hell from the Malians. One of the things for ISanych, though, he does have a foothold in this region, and I do appreciate that. However, we see a lot of the games, if you watch the Rising Empires League stream earlier this morning, we see when there's a difference in map control and when there's a progression of map control, you got to get those keeps out. Make sure you establish a foothold. Make sure your map control is completely solid over there on the east side. Both players, Anotand and ISanych, not going any direction of stone. This is strictly military units.
Yep, absolutely. Now, Anotand has managed to stay alive for long enough that his second town center is starting to pay off for just about now. His villager count's getting ahead slowly from ISanych. ISanych is still with the income lead because passive gold, you know, it's pretty good. But Anotand not too far behind because he also has the wooden fortress. He gets the extra wood from the drop-off. But still, he is not in a great spot. This gigantic wall is gonna get caught, and a lot of villagers are gonna go down by those sofas, and yeah, that wall is going to needs to get cancelled. It's never going to get completed. Now we see an attack by ISanych, but sees the mangonels, decides to back off a little bit, gets Manadons for free, maybe. There we go.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like a two-headed attack by ISanych on the north side. A lot of the spearmen trying to chase over means that the spearmen won't be a front line out of this. A couple mangonels trying to get that cheeky shot on the veteran archers, but that mangonel staff, the people organizing that, know that they probably are out of position. So on the north side, more veteran sofas trying to make sure that wall doesn't go up, but it looks like that wall's going to get done just in time. I do see some raidable areas for the Roost, particularly this wood line. If he didn't have the help of some of these units, I think we would see a lot of dead villagers. Rocks flying from the sky for some of those mangonels, and a lot of these sofas are going to end up going down, but not without taking a springald in the process, and you hear all of those Malian horses shriek as they lose their lives.
Speaking of that, springald is really, really huge. Like, he lost a lot of sofas now because of that. He got, like, pincered by the spearmen and the rest of the army. But now ISanych is the only one who has sprinkles on the field, and with those sprinkles, he can just bully Anotand back into his base because the amount of archers is way too much right now to deal with, and those sprinkles can easily deal with the mangonels, so the mangonels are basically non-existent in this fight.
Look at the upper right. Ooh, that was a good mangonel shot. Probably about 10-ish archers going down, but still got 77 where that came from. Springles getting a delectable kiss on actually that crossbowman, not the mangonel. Now popping that mangonel like a water balloon, and these archers are going to be able to rain hell on some of this front line. Only a couple sofas here and some donzos that actually went down rather quickly, but it's the sheer mass of archers that ISanych has right now that's going to be able to push Anotand back into this base. And Neri, just because we've seen this a couple times, is this more of a kind of sieging this territory and making sure that Anotand can't go out to get outside resources, or do you really think he's actually looking for a kill?
I think he's looking for a kill, absolutely, but this is working to his favor because, Anotand cannot leave his base. Like, he's about to run out of resources. But I think ISanych has been really trying to kill him. He's just not been able to. I disagree with the choice of rams right now. I think like 2 trebuchets instead of all the rams he's making right now will make short work of that wooden forces that have been so pesky because of the sprinkler placement. And after that, you can just take down the houses, take down the production, and the roost just dies because he's out of space. So I really disagree with these rounds, but they will get the job done if he protects them, because he's also just kind of been throwing them away, like we see right now.
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to take those rams and just go ahead and send it, maybe an issue. That stable is going to be trying to produce and make some horsemen, trying to combat this archer mass as he's got 71 strong, ISanych does. But I definitely agree with you. Keeping some trebs behind it. I mean, it's the age-old thing in Age of Empires 4, and there's a reason why it's age-old, and that's because it works. You just want to use that. You're going to make Anotand have to make his own trebs, which cost a decent amount of wood, not as much as they used to in the recent patch update, but now that range mass continuing to not have a problem to take some of these down. However, horsemen, if they did get a surround, they would be able to take a decent amount of these out. However, the only thing is on this north side, as they're flanking all the way around the north, I only see about 8, maybe 7. Rams are actually ending up getting protected pretty well. This surround, or lack thereof, for these horsemen, not going to be very useful, but in terms of detracting attention for the Malian archers, I guess they're going to be able to do that, and this range mass from Anotand is going to be able to clean up a lot of these archers. Neri, don't look now, military count 52 to 50, we're all tied up.
Yeah, a lot of archers ended up going down for ISanych. I think it's just because he's been fighting under this wooden fortress. That wooden fortress has put so much work into the end. Really, the MVP through all of this kills so many things throughout his existence. It's absolutely insane. Now we see the range mass by Anotand is starting to push back ISanych, which will be the completely opposite way. Like, Malian archers should be like destroying everything that Anotand has, and we're seeing the keep coming down. So ISanych absolutely needs to make trebuchet right now. If he keeps making rest, I'm gonna lose it to him.
Yeah, I would imagine you do. I mean, this keep probably shouldn't be there in the first place if ISanych put his own down, but it looks like for some of these technologies might be doing a little bit of a change here. He's getting some donzos of the veteran status that might be able to help him. The issue is, for Anotand, only has a little bit of horsemen able to flank. Don't want to extend too much into those donzos, but is starting to add siege of his own, not of the anti-siege variety, adding in some mangonels to actually do something against this range mass. But you're right, I mean, we're going to say this over and over again as he queues up another mangonel. Where in the hell are those trebuchets?
ISanych, please, just... You were so ahead. You've been so ahead this entire game. If you lose this, I'm gonna... we're just cutting you off from the raffle. I'm calling it.
I know, it's one of those instances, and I see Core in chat say Sanchez throwing, and I just want to go over to ISanych. I don't know where he is in the world, but I just want to go to his house and fucking shake him. Just like get his trebuchet.
Couple of slaps. Like, what are you doing, dude?
Yeah, just like take 5 seconds, slap him around a little bit, and get him to figure it out. Because I think, but if he was able to do that and just cement himself in that map control, he would be pretty okay right now. On the meantime, now he's playing a little bit of, it feels like for the first time in this game, even though the score might disagree with me, it almost feels like he's playing catch up a little bit, because on the back end of this, Anotand has been able to control and get a lot of villagers, an economic count 108 to 91, and we know ISanych has some of the passiveness with the gold, and I want to take a look around his base up front. It looks like for food, Malian's actually making farms. Who knew Malians actually make wheat products? Excuse me. I was used to seeing them with cows.
Yeah, you should never make farms as Malians. If you're lacking food, just start trading and infinitely produce cows. You should even have cattle ranches at this point. Like you have 5 or 6 cattle ranches, and then just infinitely produce 2 to 5 cows outside, and you have food forever for free, basically. We see Anotand managed to pick a relic. This is something that should have never happened. Like, ISanych should have all 5 relics under his control, but he didn't. Like, again, this is like not the best map control that ISanych could have done. So I'm really curious, what is he doing? Maybe he's a little bit Easter drunk? I don't know.
Well, I feel like this is one of the age-old things that I see a lot of players do, where they have a front and they stick with it eventually till the end of the game, but I want to comment on that for a second. But now, big fight coming in. Springald's kissing that Mangonel. 3 Mangonels all the way in the back of the stealth force for the Malians, doing a good job taking hits on those those spearmen, excuse me, and the men-at-arms, so those poison arrows can get some damage. Good Mangonel shots. Look at all of those dead Muscovite troops. So many archers and crossbowmen going down in that one. Military count 76 to 40. As far as battles, that's another win for ISanych in the north. He's raiding a lot of these villagers, trying to make sure Anotand doesn't get a lot of gold supply. It looks like that's the only safe gold mine for him. There's another one south. If ISanych just had the presence of mind to take a look south and make sure, you know, their other gold mines weren't taken, I think he could really gold starve Anotand right now.
Yeah, he absolutely could. Another thing, yes, absolutely. Like, finally starting to see the sacred sites getting captured. ISanych managed to secure only 2 relics when he had complete map control. It's insane to think that in this situation, in this game, Anotand has more relics than ISanych.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, I mean, there's a reason why we always talk about map control. There's a reason why map control is so important. You know, because you're able to get the resources on the map that your opponent can't. Sacred Sites being one of them. Obviously, he's doing a good job of getting that now. But Relics being the other one. And I remember taking a look back at the monastery. We watched the Warrior Monk drop the 3rd Relic off. And his economic count now 121 villagers. Based on how much resources Anotand has in the bank, surprisingly, if we do see an Imperial, Anotand's going to be the first one there.
Yeah, this is starting to get to the point where Malian starts falling off. They're really, really strong in feudal and castle, but once you get to the latest stages of castle, oh, never mind, we have a big fight going on. All the Mangle is going down to their... There's so many sprinkles, like all those Mangonels are dead, and there's only 1 sprinkle for the side of ISanych, so he completely loses the siege battle, and because of that, he's going to lose the military battle too. And we see the high armory coming down by Anotand.
Yeah, I have an inkling that we're probably not going to see the high armory actually get completed, because that was a convincing cleanup from Anotand to the point where he is now going to start to matriculate east with his army. Still has a little bit of a front line with those horsemen and knights, men-at-arms, spearmen. Also, what's nice about this Rus army, it's just a mishmash of essentially everything. Trebs going down, those expensive Trebs that we were screaming about a long time ago, now it just turned to firewood. And as long as Anotand's able to decap one of these sacred sites, which seems like more of an inevitability at this point, ISanych doesn't have a win condition anymore, and he'll be behind an age.
Absolutely. Now we see ISanych getting pushed off gold, and Malians without gold, they are nothing. He doesn't have trade set up. He doesn't have any more safe gold. He needs to get back control of this specific area, because if he loses this gold for good, he's absolutely out of the game. And we see Anotand just reaching page 4. And this is when Malians really fall off in power.
Yep. Yep, they are able to, maybe a little bit of an overextension from Anotand as we're seeing on the east side. He had a lot of archers, not so much in the way of crossbowmen, and with those sofas that have as much imported armor and ranged armor as they do, archers not really going to do too much. But I can think of one special unit for the Rusin Imperial that's going to rip through armor no matter where the hell it's imported from. And I'm waiting to see our first gunpowder Streltsy hit the battlefield. And it looks like I'm seeing one of them here. Let's hear the sound of some of those gunpowder units cracking into Sofa's armor.
I can't see them. I know they're on the field. I can't see them.
I'm following one currently. Boom! There you go. See? It was there, guys. Still going to be able to take down those Sofas, because remember, not as much health, but those archers with the poison arrows going to be able to do a good job against those Streltsy, whether they're Castle Age or otherwise. So you got to make sure you have a good mass around it. I see Baltoon in chat. Yeah, the range on that Streltsy was about 0.3, but nothing you can't miss at that aim, that's for sure.
Absolutely. Okay. ISanych manages to get control back of his gold, and he has all Sacred Sites taken. So if he can hold all these positions for the next 7 minutes, he will win this game. But all those Sacred Sites are very heavily exposed. Like, there's nothing defending the top Sacred Site and basically nothing defending the middle Sacred Site. He's pretty much all in on the south side. So if Anotand just moves like 1 or 2 knights to the top Sacred Site, there's nothing is going down.
No. Especially, I mean, I feel like for ISanych, this is something that I wanted to comment on before that big battle came out right on the eastern side of Anotand's territory, is it feels like for ISanych, and I see a lot of lower elo players do this too, they kind of beat their head against the wall here. There's a keep here. There's a little bit of production, but that's pretty much it. What are you denying by having this front over here on the east side? Pretty much nothing. You have to go out and get raids on gold, some of these things that Anotand really needs. As far as keeping the front here for as long as he did, not that opportunistic for him. And Anotand was just able to take fight after fight in this area. But this is going to be the first time now with raids coming in on the south, and a lot of those villagers going down for Anotand for his gold. He's going to need to break out of some area at some point, and I think if he just kind of baits over here on the south side, while on the north side just decapping a Sacred Site that's rather undefended, it's going to be GG.
Yeah, absolutely. Anotand is struggling for gold. Oh, all those mangoes get caught. That's going to be really bad for Anotand. Look at all, and the horseman flashing right into the archer mass. This is not good for
nasty. Absolutely nasty. Mangonel's getting good hits on those archers too. Look at all of those Streltsy. We got 22 out here. The Mangonels go down. A lot of the archers, the Sofas end up going down. Look how quickly ISanich's Malian troops, especially that back line, insult to injury. Mangonel going to take about 4 or 5 villagers down with it. Those archers running behind with a tail between their legs. For those Donzos and those Sofas, those wooden shields, I'll tell you what goes really through some of those wooden shields, and that's a bullet.
A bullet indeed. It goes through a wooden shield. If that's something I learned playing Bloodborne. It's a very good game. Playing if you have the chance to. But yeah, now we see all the massive advantage. So many Streltsy. Like, at this point, you need siege and a crap ton of. Well, you don't have horsemen as ISanych because you're Malian, so I don't know how you do with this massive Streltsy. Is it for like a Mangonel very placing shots very well? So it's going to be difficult. The Sacred Site gets decapped finally, and ISanych lost his win condition. He's a full age behind. He's behind in economy. And Anotand manages to claw back into this game. It's quite insane.
Yeah, I mean, he was able to be okay on taking a lot of these fights in Castle Age, just kind of staying alive in these Streltsy, trying to shoot every single wheat chaff that the Malians have on this farm, but it ends up going down. Villagers on the north side for Anotand, now that he's starting to break out of his shell, going to try to get some of these resources all the way down here. Now, there were a couple horsemen for Anotand over here on the south side. We see their corpses. Might be a good raidable area. ISanych knows that with his archer mass here. ISanych needs a lot of extra production buildings and a lot of things like siege workshops if he's going to want to claw back, because you're exactly right with these Streltsy. You're Streltsy without any kind of mangonels, with the shots from God. I don't think these Streltsy are going to end up going down pretty quick. I mean, there's just too many of them. What are you doing?
Yeah, this is the critical mass of Streltsy that you can never engage head on. You need to deal with them from afar with siege or something, because it's 32. Like look at these chats. Ooh.
Yeah, and from head on, they exactly are. These archers with mangonels, rocks flying from the heavens right on the bottom of that archer mass. ISanych says that is quite enough. I'm going to spare these archers their lives for just this game. And winner's going over to Anotand, clawing his way back at a time when Neri, probably about 25 minutes ago-ish, we thought he was cooked.
I mean, he should have been cooked. Just, I'm gonna be honest, I searched through that game fantastically, but Anotand also capitalized well on ISanych mistakes. So, yeah, well played by Anotand. So, he deserves the win, and he's moving on to the semifinals on the winner's side.
Yeah, he will be part of the semifinals. And just for a little bit of background, take a look at this military count graph here. Like, it was probably about, he got that advantage with the Warrior Scouts, as all Malian players do. At about the 10-minute mark, we see that Anotand not going for the second town center. And then, as far as military count and military lead, that early Castle Age spike, literally, that we can see on this from ISanych, really taking it to Anotand, dropping that military count. I remember we said before it was about 10 or 12. And then he was able to kind of push from there. And it's so weird looking at this graph, and you see that blue skull at the end, and you're like, well, how in the hell did that happen? For Anotand, just getting Imperial, getting that increased quality of units, and just staying alive for the duration of this game makes him the victor. So congratulations.
Yep.
To
Look at that.
Anotand.
That